Hello and welcome. You're watching UATV News with me, Ksenia Bugay. First, this hour, the latest developments from Ukraine, audio guides in Ukrainian in major world museums and other projects were discussed at the International Forum of Cultural Diplomacy. Experts from all over the world exchange experience and propose new ideas for the cultural promotion of our country on the international scene. According to the Minister of Foreign Affairs of Ukraine, in the context of a pandemic, the implementation of cultural projects will have to rely on online tools and interact with new countries.
We should promote Ukraine in each country which is interesting to us, where we want to increase our presence and influence. We need to conceptualize and effectively use online space, not as a supplement to offline space, but as a full-fledged space where Ukraine should increase its presence.
Reduce the number of accidents and raise a responsible generation of drivers and pedestrians. The second stage of the Road Safety Week continues in Ukraine. This event has been held throughout the country since 2011. Our correspondent found out about the situation on Ukrainian roads and how violators of traffic rules are punished.
2 dead and at least 10 injured. This is the result of a fatal accident involving a passenger bus in Kherson region. Early in the morning, a minibus with 25 passengers got in a ditch. The reason is speeding, the police says. The driver lost control, drove out of the carriageway in the direction of travel, followed by a drive to the side of the oncoming lane. Over the past 9 months, more than 100,000 traffic accidents have occurred on Ukrainian roads. Almost 2,500 people died, more than 19,000 were injured. If we do not do anything to improve the situation daily, we are going to face big problems. According to the World Bank, annually Ukraine loses about $5 billion of gross domestic income because of the road accidents. To reduce the terrible statistics, Ukraine holds the Road Safety Weeks twice a year in spring and fall. The police organize thematic raids and preventive conversations with drivers as well as lessons in schools, telling kids how to behave on the roads. The Cabinet of Ministers, in turn, has approved the new safety program in October. According to it, in 3 years, the accident and death rates on the roads should be reduced by 3 to 4 times. In the meantime, video recording of violations remains the most effective method of dealing with undisciplined drivers. Taking into account the effect on mortality and accidents in areas where cameras are installed, the accident rate there has decreased by 3 times. That is, if we extrapolate this result, for example, in 5 or 10 years, then there will be a significant decrease in the death rate of accidents in certain areas. By the end of the next year, Ukraine plans to expand the functions of road cameras. In addition to speed control, they will record passing at a red traffic light, crossing a double line, as well as moving along the public transport lane. Reported by Vadim Kramar, Valery Bakus, Alexander Bugay, UATV News.
A unique surgery has been performed in Cherkasy Regional Oncological Early Treatment Center. For the first time, the doctors transplanted a kidney from a relative donor. This surgery at the state expense was held in the frameworks of Health Ministry's pilot project. Our correspondents know the details.
It's the last hug before the surgery. 49-year-old Tatiana gives her kidney to her son. It's a very generous deed. I'm very grateful to my mother. Dmitro is 25. He teaches physics in a rural school. The guy has kidney problems since childhood. Last year and a half he receives hemodialysis. He used to go 2 times a week to Cherkasy for treatment. For years his sole dream was to see mountains. For the sake of her son's dream, the mother gave him her kidney.
Mothers are all like this.
Doctors say surgery went well, the kidney started functioning, and the mother with her son are in good mood. Our Cherkasy colleagues did their work, performed renal transplantation. We came here rather to give moral support, furthermore for the sake of the development of the Ukrainian medicine. They did a great job, resulted in a -1 dialysis patient. It became possible due to the legalization of transplantation surgeries in 2019. Under the national pilot program with $4 million budget, surgeons performed the first transplantation in 2020. Now the ministry decided to revise the program's budget, allocated additional $850,000.
Заклади, які включені до
Given the growth in the number of medical facilities included to the pilot transplantation program, as well as the increasing number of surgeries, the Health Ministry drew the initiative to relocate funds in the amount of $4 million to the transplantation pilot project within the current year. The state undertakes all costs. As for now, 25 hospitals have been licensed to perform organ transplants. The Ministry of Health expects that till the year 2023, the majority of necessary surgeries of a kind will be performed in Ukraine. Reported by Vadim Kramer, Nick Starkov, Inna Mazurkevich, UATV News.
Up next, American top prosecutor quit after Donald Trump has set the Justice Ministry to probe the alleged voting irregularities during the U.S. 2020 presidential election, CNN reports. Team of the president-elect is confident Trump's claim challenging the voting result has no solid grounds. More on Trump's fight for the re-election in this story by our correspondent Oleksiy Matsuka from Washington.
The Trump campaign team is appealing for patience as it carries investigation over the reports of fraudulent voting in the 2020 presidential election.
Look, what we are asking for here is patience. Rana just mentioned to you the more than, I believe it was 130 affidavits in Michigan alone. We're aware of all the reports of thousands of votes in Nevada that were cast by those who are not eligible. We're hearing these reports. We're seeing them come in. We are vetting them. We are getting affidavits. But what we're asking for right now is patience as we explore these equal protection claims, among others.
Donald Trump has not considered the race and is continuing to baselessly dispute the results, even though there is no evidence of widespread fraud.
As Kayleigh stated, the election is not over. Tabulation and canvassing continues across the United States. And today in the United States District Court for the Middle District of Pennsylvania, Donald J. Trump for president and 2 representative voters filed suit against the Secretary of State in select counties, alleging 2 things. Number 1, a violation of equal access based on a lack of meaningful observation and transparency, particularly in Democrat-controlled counties.
Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, which is in for the monitoring of the election security, stated that the polling stations are provided with the necessary detection tools that make significant difficulties to the fraud with the use of the rigged ballots. Top officials in charge of the election process in the states of Arizona, Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Nevada, both Republicans and Democrats, have issued statements that they did not see the widespread breaches of the voting process or serious fraud cases.
There were 682,479 ballots counted in Philadelphia, in Allegheny County, that there were no poll watchers allowed to watch. It's the job of the media to ask the question why, because all we are asking for is truth, transparency, and sunlight here.
Despite Trump's campaign to cast doubt on the outcome of the election in the United States, many Republicans, let alone Democrats, are urging President Donald Trump to stop challenging the results of the 2020 general election and start finding ways to work with the President-elect Joe Biden. Reported by Nick Starkov, Oleksiy Matsuka from Washington, UATV News.
The military conflict in the unrecognized Nagorno-Karabakh has ended. The lands of Azerbaijan occupied by Armenia came under the control of Baku. Russian peacekeepers are already deployed on the contact line. More details in our next story.
At midnight on November the 10th, the agreement on the complete cessation of hostilities in the Nagorno-Karabakh occupied by Armenia came into force. Azerbaijani President Ilham Aliyev called the day historic and the reached agreement a capitulation of Armenia. I am very glad that the end is being put today in the settlement of the long-term conflict between Armenia and Azerbaijan. The occupation of Azerbaijani territories ended. By agreeing on important positions, we reached the settlement. That, I believe, meets the interests of the people of Azerbaijan and Armenia. Official Baku and Yerevan, mediated through Moscow, agreed on a complete ceasefire, withdrawal of the Armenian armed forces, on the exchange of detainees as well as the bodies of soldiers. Armenia will return part of the occupied territories, Agdam, Lanchin and Kelbajar, to Azerbaijan. One of the terms of the agreement is the entry of Russian peacekeeping forces. Russia has already sent almost 2,000 military representatives to the region. They will stay there for at least 5 years. The peacekeeping forces will also include the Turkish military. The document does not mention the status of the unrecognized Nagorno-Karabakh. Armenian Prime Minister Nikol Pashinyan stated that he had no other choice but to sign the agreement. The decision was made as a result of an analysis of the military situation and an assessment by people who are familiar with the military situation, and is also based on the belief that this is the best possible solution in the current situation. After the agreement was signed, Baku did not wait till morning. Local residents went out to celebrate in the middle of the night. Although the country has a curfew due to the COVID-19 pandemic, the police did not even try to stop people. This is a wonderful day for our people. We have been waiting for it for so long.
Our Karabakh is free, our nation is liberated. Thanks for this day. God bless you. I'm overwhelmed with emotion.
At the same time, riots started in Armenia. In Yerevan, protesters rushed into the government building, smashing windows and furniture. Activists demanded the resignation of the prime minister. They also robbed his residence. According to protesters, the head of government had no right to make such decisions without public discussion. Protesters beat the speaker of the Armenian parliament, Ararat Mirzoyan. He was hospitalized. The opposition of Armenia wants to convene parliament to withdraw from the agreement. We do not agree that these lands were just given away. We won't give up the land. We will fight, and we do not want this to continue. The conflict between the two countries began in 1988, when the Nagorno-Karabakh autonomous region, which is inhabited mainly by Armenians, announced its secession from the Azerbaijan Soviet Socialist Republic and unilaterally proclaimed itself as an independent republic, which, however, was unrecognized by the world society. Armenia and Azerbaijan entered into a truce in 1994, but more than once violated it. The full-scale hostilities began on September 27, 2020. Both sides declared martial law and mobilization. They negotiated a ceasefire 3 times, but each time these agreements were not respected. Reported by Vadim Kramer and Dina Kosinska, UATV News.
Japan will host task competitions in preparation to the 2021 Olympics. There will be a series of trial competitions at the Olympic facilities to prepare these facilities for the championship, taking into account all quarantine restrictions. This decision was made after the successful holding of the international tournament in gymnastics, which took place the day before with the presence of audience. On March 24th, the International Olympic Committee announced the postponement of the Summer Olympic Games till 2021 because of the COVID-19 pandemic. That's all for now. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned. More updates on our official website, YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter pages.